The top layer, here is where we basically take and try to rotate all of the whites up in the proper position. We orient it and then we permute it to the right side. The problem here is we have 3 down and 1 up. We know that that's an impossibility, because if I were to do the algorithm to flip as many as possible, F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I, you can see 3 up and 1 down. According to the law of cubes, that is impossible. That has to flip down. Now, in this puzzle, it's easy to see why that happened. This is flipped. So if I were to flip this and flip this, that's perfectly legal. As a matter of fact, with this flipped wrong, we expect one of these to be flipped wrong. So because I can see this, all I have to do is flip this over, and this will be where it needs to be. Or all of these will be in the right configuration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this up here, swing it around, and move it down again so that it's upside down from where it is. U, R, U, I, R, I, U, I, F, I, U, F. So the edge piece that was here is now up here somewhere. Wheel it around until it's back, and then put it back down here, which will be upside down from where it was before. Turn, 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 turn. So now this is in, so now all of these are fine. So when you see a situation like this in any puzzle, in any cuboid, in any mod, in any part of the world, you know that we have some edge here that was falsely equivocated, and that was this one. So if I were to demonstrate again with this, trying to rotate as many of these up as possible, F, R, U, R, I, U, I, F, I, this is how to rotate all those up. You see 3 up, 1 down. Here it's not as obvious why that is, but now you've figured it out, because this, we didn't know which direction it was supposed to be. So we're going to do the same thing, rotate this up, swing it around, and rotate it back. U, R, U, I, R, I, U, I, F, I, U, and F. Oh, these poor stickers. So now I'm going to find that edge piece with 2 cross areas here, put it back down, which will be upside down from where it was before. U, R, turn, 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 and turn. Upon doing that, we see that the cross is just fine. So that's the same type of false equivocation that we had with this guy. So far no difference, but instead of any edge piece that'll do that, it's only this one. The next part is we want to get all of these centers lined up appropriately. So with this puzzle over here, once you have that, I can turn this here. This is good, not good, not good, not good. So I'm lining it up to see if there's 2 that are in. If there is, basically put among the 2 that are in, 1 to the right, 1 to the back, and then do the algorithm R, U, R, I, U, R, to U, R, I, and then you can see that these are now lined up. So we'll do the same thing here, no difference. Do we have any that are actually in? Well, there's this, not in. This is, well, we can maybe consider that to be in. But here's what I'd like to do. Because it's so much easier to visualize the green and the red, I'm going to put the green one in here, and I want the red one to be over here. But it's all the way over here. So I'm going to do the algorithm which keeps this steady and rotates these around until this guy is over here. So the green one stays in front of me. I'm going to put it to where the red one is over here. That's going to be R, U, R, I, U, R, to U, R, I. So good and good. And now we're going to say that these 2 are correct. Or are they correct? Because I could just as easily put it like this, where I have the correct one to the right and to the back, do that again, and I'll end up with the same thing. So I'm going to say that they're correct, because understand these 2 edges are equivalent to each other. Because they're equivalent to each other, although these 2 had a specific place to go, these 2 don't, so I can be done. And I can say that I have the situation here. The next part is, of course, putting in the corners. Corners are a matter of finding one that's in the correct place, which is here, and then rotating the rest around until they're in the correct place, with the algorithm of holding the one that's correct to the right, U, R, U, I, R, I, U, R, I, U, I, L. I think I said that wrong. Anyway, so this is okay, this is okay, these are all fine. So then it's just a matter of doing R, I, D, A, R, D until they're all where they need to be. Ri, di, rd. So this is that last magical step of a 3x3 that solves it, where people think you're messing your puzzle up, that you've come this far for no reason, that just when they thought you had it solved, you were taking it out of alignment, out of position, but then find that almost like magic, it's solved. I'm going to do the same thing here. So let's find edges or corners that are where they're supposed to be. Well, this one is where it's supposed to be. Well, no, actually it isn't, because we have the green one here. This is that L portion, which has to be between my two L sides. So my two cross layer sides, which is this and this. So this actually belongs here, just like this edge piece belonged here. So this is wrong, this is wrong. This is actually right. How do I know that? Because this is red to match this side, and this has a cross extended layer to match this side. So this is correct. This is not right, because it's supposed to be red, green, and white, which is this one. So I'm going to hold this here, and just like a 3x3, rotate these around until they're where they need to be. U, R, UI, LI, U, RI, UI, L. So this is good, this is not good, and not good, so we do it again. U, R, turn, 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 and turn. Okay, so this is where it needs to be and in the proper position. This we like, red here, and then the cross extension, which is over here. This is the L-shaped corner for this L portion here. And then we have the green with the green. So now we just RD this into submission. This is already correct. I'm going to do RD until this red lines up with this over here. RD, RD, RD. You can see this is in, so we move this over. Do the same thing until this basically is flat. Turn like this. RD, RD. So this is now where it needs to be. So we're going to wheel this around and do the same thing until this one is in, until this green is lined up with this. RD. And when you've done this, you have now taken it back into its native form. So just 3x3 solves, puts it back here, and we've got our 3x3 core. Fine, we've got this solved, as was our plan, and now we just have the cross areas. So with the cross cube, we're just going to do this as we do the last two centers of a 5x5 supercube. Everything about this puzzle so far was as easy as a 3x3. You just had to skew your perspective a little bit, and was even easier than the cross cube. This is the payoff phase. This is the more challenging phase, not because it's something new, but because we don't have the ability to just place things as we did here and then use the final layer as we solve the 3x3x5 with domino techniques. The reason why we can't use that is, let's say I put this in. The problem is that this final layer, I can't use domino techniques because in order to do edge swapping or corner swapping, I need a bottom layer here to rotate it with. But it's hidden, it's not there, so I can't do that. I have to deal with these two as a unit. So the first step that I do in placing the last two centers of a 5x5 supercube is place the edges. So here's a yellow, here's an orange rather. I'll move this to where this is supposed to be up here. This has to come down to here. So I'm simply going to move it down, bump it out of the way, move it back up. So it's just a question of placement. Nothing really fancy here. This has to come down here, move it down here, bump it out of the way, move it back. So now I have one final one to go, and it's this one over here. That's just a matter of placing this up here, putting this in place, and moving it back down. So I'm never really going to lose my L shape at this point. But if you notice, this is in, this is in, this is in, and this is in. Now what I do next before hitting the corners is I'm going to do the edges of the top layer here too. Edges of this cross cube. To do that, I'll tell you that the simple thing about this is that there is no parity involved. And the reason for that with this is that every corner and every edge has a specific place. There's no ways of turning about it. So what we're going to see is which one of these is in place. Well, this is in place over here, and none of these are in place in conjunction with this. I can move this over here, this is in place, and this is in place. So because of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve it the same way that I did the last layer of a 3x3. Remember when I had one that was in place and another that was in place, but these two aren't? I took the two here that are in place, moved one to the right and one to the back. Just like I did over here, there's no difference, so I'm doing it like the last layer, last edges of a 3x3. So if I have these in place, I'm going to move it here, and then I'm going to do that same algorithm, R, U, Ri, U, R, 2U, Ri. And now I know that everything is going to be fine. So this is in, and this is in. Lastly, we have the corners. And this is the only challenging part, not because it's something new, but just because we didn't have to do this with the other puzzles. The algorithm that we're going to use to solve the 5x5x5 center supercube is an algorithm that'll take this piece here, put this to here, and this to here. So it's going to 3-cycle these guys around. So notice this algorithm is not going to touch these three, and it's not going to touch these over here. So the technique I'm going to use is to try to put at least 2 on the bottom, so I can put it here, 2 that are in, and try to match at least 3 over here, leaving 1 left over. So let's see what has to happen. This white and red, where does it need to go? Well, it needs to go up here. Now what's good about this is I already have this one in. So if I move this to here, then I'm going to have a solid layer here already solved. I'll have a 1x3 bar solved. This will come down here, which is where it needs to be, because this is yellow-green, which will come over to here. This will slide over to here. And this algorithm, which is really just an extension of the placement commutators that we've been doing, is R, UI, Li, U, Ri, UI, L, and then U. So that did what I wanted it to do. This is all in over here. These two basically need to be swapped. Well, these two are not in the right place. And looking here, this is the only one on the right place over here. So I'm going to move this down here so that this doesn't get touched. And I've got to start moving these things around. So what I'm going to do is let's see if we can position this to where things are going to come into place. I don't want to do anything here because I don't want to offset this. So I'm going to put this down here. So I can either retain this or I can retain this. Either way you look at it, one of them's got to go. Now over here, I see that these are in. I'm actually going to turn this upside down. Now this is just strategy. You can do it any way you want. By putting this over here, it's going to retain these over here. But these don't have any good positions. These are not in position. So what I'm going to do is move this over to here. It retains this place and this place because these are kind of lined up to where they need to be. And I'm just going to put this to here, this to here, and this to here. By putting this to here, this will slide over to here where it needs to be, which means everything is going to be in except this piece, because this will come here and be out, this will come here and be out, this will slide over here and be in, red and yellow. So this will be in, all of these will be in, this will be the only one that's out, so then this can once again be the top layer. There's no set way of doing this, plan it out any way you want. As long as you know the 3-cycle, you can use whatever strategy you want. So R, UI, Li, U, Ri, UI, L. And that's pretty good, because now all of these are in. This is the only one that's out. So now I'm going to put this back on the top layer, move this over here, so this is free to cycle around and do whatever you got to do, and this will be maintained. Again, if you're not sure of what I'm doing, play around with your 5x5x5 supercube if you got one, and you'll find it's exactly the same. So now we're going to start moving things around. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take this white and green and see if I can't place it in a place where it's supposed to be. Well, if I put it over here, this green area will come up over to here, which is okay because this white and green will come down here, and that'll create an entire side here that I can place over to place over here. So let's go ahead and do it again, moving this to here, and this to here. R UI LI U RI UI L. And we can move this back like so. So now I've got all of this in. I'm going to move this down here so that this is protected. And now it has to work. Again, there's no parity involved here. So one more algorithm, one more turn of that, this will come here and finish this side. This green and yellow will come here, finish this side. And this blue and yellow will come here and finish this side. Turn, 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 and you got it. And it's done. So no need for confusing, strange, and bizarre algorithms and 3 cycles and things that just don't make a lot of sense. Instead, what we have is a simple 3x3 solve to get it back to the native shape, and then just use simple 5x5 supercube last 2 center solves to put these in place. No need to do any actual cuboid strategies, just supercube strategies along with 3x3 strategies to get it back. If that last section with these two, if there's any questions on that, let me know. I can look at individual situations. If you have a configuration that doesn't make sense, let me know, show me a picture, and I can show you how to get out of it. But really, it's nothing new. It's 5x5 center supercube strategy. So in many ways, this is actually an easier puzzle, I think, than the X cube. More 3x3x5 variants on the way. Thanks for watching.